Captain Minho Park pressed his palm against the cold metal wall of the bridge. The vibrations told him everything he needed to know. His ship, the Defiant Echo, was dying. Around him, warning lights flashed red and yellow like angry stars. "Sir, we're losing power to the main engines," Lieutenant Ji-won Kim called out from her station. Her voice stayed calm, but Minho could see her hands shaking as she worked the controls. Through the massive viewing window, Minho watched the last human space station explode. The fireball bloomed like a deadly flower against the black of space. Inside that station, 3,000 people had been living and working just minutes ago. Now they were gone. The alien ships hung in space like giant silver sharks. They were beautiful and terrible at the same time. The consortium vessels moved with perfect grace, their weapons charging with a low hum that Minho could feel in his bones. "Incoming transmission from the consortium flagship," reported Communications Officer Daeho Shin. His young face was pale with fear. "Put it through," Minho ordered. The holographic display flickered to life. An alien face appeared, its skin blue-gray, like storm clouds. The creature had 4 eyes that glowed with cold light. When it spoke, its voice sounded like grinding metal. "Human vessel, you will prepare for immediate relocation. Your species has been found unfit for galactic civilization. You are too violent, too unpredictable, too dangerous to remain among peaceful worlds." Minho stepped forward. "We came in peace. We followed all your laws. We tried to be good neighbors." The alien's 4 eyes blinked slowly. "Your peace is temporary. Your nature is chaos. We have seen your history, human. You wage war against your own kind. You destroy your own planet. We cannot allow such madness to spread." "Where will you send us?" Minho asked, though he already feared the answer. "You will be scattered. Each of your ships will be sent to different parts of the galaxy. You will never find each other again. Your homeworld will be sealed behind a barrier that cannot be broken. This is mercy, human. We could have destroyed you completely." The transmission ended. Minho stared at the blank space where the alien's face had been. Around him, his crew worked frantically at their stations. They were good people, all of them. They had families, dreams, hopes for the future. Now they would spend the rest of their lives alone in the dark. "Sir, they're targeting us with some kind of tractor beam," Ji-won reported. "I can't break free." Minho felt the ship begin to move, not forward or backward, but in a direction that made his stomach twist. Space itself seemed to bend around them. Stars stretched into long lines of light. "All hands prepare for displacement," Minho announced over the ship's communication system. "We don't know where we're going, but we'll face it together." In the observation deck, Dr. Suna Kang held her young daughter close. The little girl was crying, not understanding why the pretty lights outside were moving so strangely. "Mommy, when are we going home?" Suna kissed her daughter's forehead. "I don't know, sweetheart. But wherever we go, we'll make a new home." The ship shuddered as the alien technology wrapped around them. Through the viewing windows, they could see other human vessels being pulled in different directions. The colony ship New Hope disappeared into a tunnel of twisted light. The research vessel Discovery vanished into what looked like a crack in space itself. "How many ships are out there?" Minho asked quietly. Ji-won checked her instruments. 47, sir. All being sent to different locations. 47 ships, maybe 50,000 people total. Once, humanity had filled 100 worlds with cities and farms and schools. Now they were reduced to scattered seeds blown by an alien wind. Engineer Hyuk-nam appeared on the bridge, oil stains on his uniform. "Sir, I've managed to boost our long-range sensors. I'm picking up a final transmission from Earth Command." "Put it through the main speakers," Minho ordered. Admiral Seok Lee's voice filled the bridge. The old man sounded tired, defeated. "To, all human vessels beyond the Sol system, this is Admiral Lee with our final message. The aliens have placed Earth and all our inner colonies behind some kind of quantum barrier. We cannot break through and nothing can reach us from outside." The Admiral paused, and when he continued, his voice was stronger. "You are now the seeds of humanity's future. I know this seems like the end, but remember who we are. We are the species that crossed oceans in wooden boats. We are the people who flew to the moon with computers less powerful than a child's toy. We are humans, and we do not give up. The transmission crackled with static. Survive. Adapt. Grow. Strong. And remember, this is not the end of our story. This is just the beginning of a new chapter. The message ended just as the defiant echo was pulled into the darkness between stars. The last thing Minho saw before the displacement field took them was Earth's sun, growing smaller and smaller until it was just another point of light in the endless night. They were alone now, 47 ships scattered across a galaxy that wanted nothing to do with them, but they were still human, and humans had always been good at surviving impossible odds. 50 years had passed since the ships disappeared into the dark. On the ice moon Cathara, Commander Yuna Choi stepped out of the underground city into the frozen wasteland above. The temperature was 40 degrees below zero, cold enough to kill most living things in minutes. But Yuna wore only a thin suit that hummed softly with built-in heaters. Her people had learned to make the impossible cold their friend. She walked across the ice field to where her team was testing their newest creation. A massive drilling machine chewed through the frozen ground, its teeth glowing red-hot. Steam rose from the hole as it dug deeper toward the warm core of the moon. "How deep are we now?" Yuna asked Engineer Daeho Shin. His left arm had been replaced with a mechanical one after a mining accident 10 years ago. The metal limb was stronger than flesh and never got tired. 3,000 meters and going deeper, Daeho replied, his breath making white clouds in the air. "We should hit the thermal pocket soon. This will give us enough power for the entire colony." Yuna nodded and looked back at their city. What had started as a small shelter for 200 survivors was now home to 5,000 people. They had carved rooms and tunnels into the ice itself. Warm light glowed from hundreds of windows. Children played in heated courtyards where they grew food under artificial suns. The colony ship Winter's End had crashed here all those years ago. Half the people died in the first winter. But the survivors learned to use the cold instead of fighting it. They built machines that turned ice into drinking water and breathable air. They learned to hunt the strange creatures that lived in the deep ice caves. "The new babies are adapting even better than we expected," Dr. Suna Kang told Yuna later that day. They stood in the medical center watching children play in the nursery. The kids looked normal, but their body temperature was lower than old humans. They could stay outside in the cold for hours without getting sick. "Evolution in action," Yuna said quietly. "We're becoming something new." Far across the galaxy, Captain Hyok Nam guided his mining ship through an asteroid field that would terrify most pilots. The rocks spun and crashed into each other with deadly force, but Hyok moved between them like he was dancing, his ship turning and diving with perfect grace. "Target asteroid coming up on the starboard side," his co-pilot Junho Woo called out. "It's a big one, full of rare metals." Hyok smiled as he brought his ship close to the spinning rock. His people had become the best miners in the galaxy, though the galaxy didn't know they existed. They could strip an asteroid clean in half, the time it used to take. They had learned to see patterns in the chaos, to find the valuable materials hidden in worthless stone. The mining station they called home was built inside a hollowed-out asteroid. 10,000 people lived and worked in the rock's belly. They had turned the dark space into a place of light and laughter. Their children grew up floating in zero gravity, as comfortable in space as their grandparents had been on solid ground. "The new extraction process is working perfectly," Engineer Jiwon Kim reported during the daily meeting. "We're getting 90% pure metal on the first pass. The old Earth methods only managed 60%. Hyok looked at the reports with satisfaction. They had not just survived in this hostile place, they had become masters of it. Their technology was advancing faster than ever before because they had to solve problems no human had ever faced. On the bio-world Verdania, the air was poison and the plants were hungry for flesh. Dr. Minho Park walked through the jungle without fear. His skin had changed color over the years, becoming slightly green to help him process the toxic atmosphere. His reflexes were faster than any normal humans, fast enough to dodge the snapping vines that tried to grab him. The new children are showing even stronger adaptations, his assistant Dr. Sioman Lee told him, as they collected samples. Their lungs can filter out almost all the poison. Their bodies heal cuts and bruises in hours instead of days. Minho nodded as he carefully picked a flower that glowed with soft blue light. His people had learned to work with this deadly world instead of fighting it. They used the poisonous plants to make medicine. They tamed some of the dangerous creatures to help with farming. They had become something between human and the world itself. "We're receiving that strange signal again," communications officer Tae-hoon Kim reported when they returned to base. "Same pattern as last week. It almost sounds like code." Minho frowned. They had been picking up odd signals for months now, random bursts of energy that seemed to have a pattern. But that was impossible. They were alone in this part of space. Weren't they? Each group of humans thought they were the last of their kind. The ice people believed all other humans had died in the cold of space. The asteroid miners thought they were the only ones clever enough to survive. The bio-worlders assumed the galaxy's poisons had killed everyone else. But in the deep, space between stars, ancient communication equipment was finally coming online. Messages were starting to travel from world to world, carrying impossible news. The scattered seeds of humanity were about to discover they had not just survived the long winter. They had grown into something the galaxy had never seen before. Dr. Junho Woo stared at the strange signal pattern on his computer screen for the 100th time. The numbers and symbols danced across the display like a puzzle waiting to be solved. He had been working on this problem for 3 months, since the mining station's deep space sensors had picked up the first transmission. "Still working on that ghost signal?" asked his assistant engineer Nari Song as she brought him a cup of coffee. The hot drink was precious on the asteroid mining station. They had to make it from recycled water and synthetic flavor packets. "It's not random," Junho muttered, pointing at the screen. "Look at this pattern here. It repeats every 47 minutes. And these frequency changes, they're too regular to be natural." Nari leaned closer to look. She was one of the smartest people on the station, born in space and raised among the asteroids. Her mind worked differently than the older generation who remembered Earth. "What if it's not natural? What if someone is trying to talk to us?" Junho's heart skipped a beat. The thought had occurred to him before, but he had pushed it away. Everyone knew they were alone. The consortium had scattered humanity across the galaxy 50 years ago. The chance that another human settlement had survived was almost zero. But what if it wasn't zero? He worked for 18 hours straight, breaking down the signal piece by piece. He ran it through every code-breaking program he could find. He compared it to old Earth languages, to mathematical sequences, to star charts. Nothing worked. Then he tried something different. He played the signal as sound waves instead of just looking at the data. The computer speakers crackled with static and noise. But underneath the chaos, Junho heard something that made his blood freeze. It sounded like human voices. "Computer, filter out all frequencies below 200 hertz, he commanded with shaking hands. The noise faded. What remained was faint but unmistakable. Someone was counting in Korean. "Hana dul, set, net, dasiot." Junho fell back in his chair. His hands trembled as he reached for the communication controls. He had helped build the station's long-range transmitter, but they had never used it for anything except sending reports to the mining ships. Now he was about to use it for something impossible. "This is mining station persistence," he spoke into the microphone. "This is Dr. Junho Woo calling any human settlement. Please respond if you can hear this message." He waited. Minutes passed, then hours. Junho was about to give up when the speakers crackled to life. "Persistence, this is Ice Base Alpha on Cathara. Did you just say human settlement?" Junho nearly fell out of his chair. The voice was female, speaking perfect Korean, with an accent he didn't recognize. Yes, we're human. We've been on this asteroid for 50 years. We thought we were alone." "We thought we were alone too," the voice replied. Commander Yuna Choi introduced herself and her people. As they talked, Junho learned about the ice world and its 5,000 survivors. They had adapted to the cold and built a thriving colony in one of the harshest places in the galaxy. Within days, word spread through both settlements. People gathered around the communication centers to hear voices from across the stars. Children who had never seen another human community listened in wonder as their parents talked to strangers who had become instant family. But the surprises were just beginning. Dr. Suna Kang was monitoring the BioWorld's communication array when she picked up the transmissions between the mining station and the ice base. Her hands shook as she adjusted the frequency controls. For 50 years, her people had lived among the poisonous plants and dangerous creatures of Verdania. They had changed and adapted until they were barely recognizable as the humans who had first landed there. "This is Dr. Suna Kang from Research Station Verdania," she transmitted. "We're human too. We're alive." The network grew. More settlements joined the whisper conversations that traveled between the stars. Each group had a story of survival against impossible odds. Each had developed technologies and abilities that the others had never imagined. The people of the gas giants' moons had learned to live in crushing gravity. Their bones were dense as stone, their muscles strong as steel cables. The desert world survivors had adapted to heat that would kill normal humans. Their skin reflected sunlight, and their bodies needed very little water. Captain Hyok Nam coordinated the growing network from his asteroid mining base. His people had become the communication specialists, building relay stations on dead asteroids to boost signals across the vast distances between settlements. "We need to be careful," he warned during one of the daily conference calls. "The consortium still controls most of the galaxy. If they discover we survived, they might try to scatter us again." "Let them try," Commander Yuna Choi replied from her ice world. "We're not the same humans they threw away 50 years ago. We've grown stronger." Engineer Daeho Shin had been listening to the conversations with growing excitement. His mechanical arm moved restlessly as he worked on new designs. "What if we combined our technologies, your ice power systems with our mining equipment, the BioWorld's medical advances with the desert people's heat resistance? We could build something amazing," Dr. Junho Wu agreed. "Ships that could go anywhere, survive anything." As the Whisper network connected more and more human settlements, a new dream began to grow. They were no longer scattered seeds lost in the dark. They were connected again, sharing knowledge and hope across the stars. And in the deepest parts of space, where no one was watching, they began to plan their return. Admiral Minho Park floated in the zero gravity of the secret shipyard, watching his people work on something that had never existed before. The massive asteroid had been hollowed out over 20 years, its interior transformed into humanity's hidden heart. Sparks flew from welding torches as workers in spacesuits assembled the strangest warship the galaxy had ever seen. The hull, plating from Verdania, is responding perfectly to the Iceworld power cores, reported Chief Engineer Daeho Shin, his mechanical arm moving smoothly as he adjusted a control panel. "The bioadaptive armor can heal itself when damaged, and the thermal systems can keep us warm even in deep space." Minho nodded as he studied the ship taking shape before them. The Storm's Edge looked nothing like the vessels the consortium had destroyed 50 years ago. Its hull curved and twisted like a living thing, covered in plates that shifted color from black to silver depending on the light. The weapon systems were hidden inside sections that could open like flower petals when needed. "What about the new engines?" Minho asked. "Captain Hyok Nam's people outdid themselves," Daeho replied with a grin. "The asteroid miners figured out how to make gravity work for us instead of against us. These ships can turn on a coin and accelerate faster than anything the consortium has." In another part of the shipyard, Captain Ji-won Kim supervised the installation of stealth systems on the destroyer Silent Thunder. Her ship was smaller and faster than the others, designed to strike without warning and disappear before the enemy could respond. "The cloaking technology is based on the desert world's heat reflection methods," she explained to a group of pilots. "We can bend light around the ship, making us invisible to most sensors. But it only works if we move slowly and keep our weapons powered down." Commander Yuna Choi joined them from her command ship, the Frozen Fury. Her vessel was built like an icebreaker, designed to smash through enemy formations and keep fighting even when heavily damaged. "My people have contributed something special," she said, activating a holographic display. "We call it the ice cannon. It fires projectiles of supercooled metal that can punch through any armor." The secret fleet grew larger every month. Ships arrived from hidden construction sites across the galaxy, each one built using knowledge shared through the Whisper network. The gas giant people contributed gravity manipulators. The radiation world survivors added energy shields that could absorb enemy fire and turn it into power for their own weapons. Dr. Suna Kang worked in the medical bay, preparing treatments for injuries that hadn't happened yet. Her bioworld knowledge had created healing systems that could regrow lost limbs and repair damaged organs in hours instead of months. "We've learned to heal faster than they can hurt us," she told the combat medics she was training. But the most important work was happening in the communications center, where Dr. Jun-Ho Woo coordinated the timing of humanity's return. His quantum entanglement network could send instant messages across the galaxy, allowing the scattered fleets to act as one. 47 settlements have confirmed readiness," he reported during the final planning meeting. "We have 138 ships of various sizes, from single pilot fighters to the heavy battleships. Total crew count is just over 50,000 people." Admiral Minho Park studied the galaxy map floating before them. Red dots marked consortium military bases and government centers. Blue dots showed human settlements ready to strike. "We're not trying to conquer the galaxy," he reminded everyone. "We're proving that humanity deserves to exist. We hit their military targets, avoid civilian casualties, and make it clear that we're not the same species they threw away." "What if they try to negotiate?" asked Captain Hyok-Nam. "Then we listen," Minho replied. "But we listen as equals, not as beggars, asking for permission to live." The final weeks of preparation were tense. Every human settlement contributed what they could. The ice world sent their best pilots. The mining stations provided ammunition and spare parts. The bioworlds offered medical supplies and emergency rations. Children who had been born in exile watched their parents prepare for a war they didn't understand. Teenager Minji Park, Admiral Minho's daughter, helped load supplies onto the storm's edge. She had never seen Earth, never known a galaxy where humans were welcome. To her, this hidden existence was normal. "Dad, what if we lose?" she asked as they worked together in the cargo bay. Minho stopped what he was doing and looked at his daughter. She had grown up strong and clever, adapted to life in space like all the new generation. "We've already won," he said quietly. "We survived when they thought we would die. We grew strong when they expected us to stay weak. Win or lose, we've proven that humanity can't be destroyed." Engineer Nari Song made the final system checks on the communication array. Her fingers danced across the control panels as she verified connections to settlements across the galaxy. "All networks are operational. We can coordinate strikes across 12 sectors simultaneously." Admiral Minho Park took his position on the bridge of the storm's edge. Around him, his crew prepared for something none of them had ever experienced. They were about to announce humanity's return to a galaxy that had forgotten they existed. "Kiral Dehi. Ships, this is Admiral Park," he spoke into the communication system. "Remember, we're not seeking revenge, we're demanding recognition. Today, the scattered seeds of humanity bloom into a storm that will reshape the galaxy." The countdown began. In hidden bases across the stars, human warriors prepared to remind the universe what happened when you tried to destroy the indestructible. The attack began at exactly 800 Galactic Standard Time. Consortium. Admiral Vexitar was drinking his morning nutrient solution when the alarms started screaming. His flagship, the Eternal Order, had been patrolling this sector for 15 years, without seeing anything more dangerous than space pirates. Now his tactical display was lighting up like a festival of warning lights. "Report," he barked at his communications officer. "Unknown vessels decloaking throughout the sector, sir. They're everywhere." On the main screen, ships materialized out of empty space like ghosts becoming real. But these weren't the primitive human vessels from 50 years ago. These ships moved like living things, their hulls shifting color and shape as they maneuvered. The largest one looked like it was built from ice and starlight, while smaller vessels darted between the consortium ships like angry wasps. Admiral Vextar's 4 eyes widened in shock. "That's impossible. We scattered the humans decades ago. They're extinct." The Storm's Edge opened fire first. Its weapons didn't look like normal ship guns. Instead of energy beams or projectiles, it fired what looked like frozen lightning. The wine bolt struck a consortium cruiser and passed right through its shields as if they weren't there. The enemy ship's hull cracked like an egg, venting atmosphere and debris into space. "Shields are useless against their weapons," the tactical officer reported, his voice high with panic. "They're using some kind of technology we've never seen." Captain Jiwon Kim's destroyer Silent Thunder appeared behind the consortium battle line without warning. Her ship's bioadaptive hull rippled like water as enemy fire struck it, absorbing the energy and redirecting it into her own weapon systems. When she returned fire, her guns blazed with power stolen from her attackers. "This is impossible," Admiral Vextar whispered. "Their technology, it's beyond anything in our databases." Commander Yuna Choi's Frozen Fury smashed through the center of the consortium formation like an icebreaker through thin ice. Her ship's armor was made from materials that got stronger under pressure. Every hit made her vessel more dangerous. Her ice cannons fired projectiles so cold they made enemy hulls brittle enough to shatter at a touch. But the most terrifying thing wasn't the weapons or the ships, it was how the human crews fought together. Every vessel moved like part of a single organism, each captain knowing exactly where the others would be. When one ship needed help, 3 others were already moving to assist. When an enemy formation tried to retreat, human vessels were waiting to cut them off. "How are they coordinating like this?" demanded Admiral Vextar. "Our communications are being jammed, but they're acting like they can read each other's minds." Dr. Junho Wu's quantum communication network was the answer. Every human ship was connected instantly across any distance. They shared information faster than the speed of light, making them act like a single massive creature with many bodies. The battle spread across 12 sectors as planned. At Consortium Station Beta 7, Captain Hyoknam's mining ships used their asteroid-breaking equipment to tear apart military installations. Their crews had spent 50 years learning to work in dangerous conditions. Now they applied those skills to war. On the Outer Rim, the Bioworld survivors commanded by Dr. Suna Kang used living ships that could repair themselves during combat. When enemy fire damaged their hulls, the bioadaptive materials grew back stronger than before. Their crews had enhanced reflexes and healing abilities that let them survive impacts that would kill normal people. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission on all frequencies," the communications officer reported to Admiral Vextar. "Put it through," the Admiral ordered, though his voice shook with fear. Admiral Minho Park's face appeared on every screen in the Ho Consortium fleet. He looked older than the humans from 50 years ago, but his eyes burned with a fire that could melt steel. Behind him, the bridge of the Storm's Edge hummed with technology that seemed alive. "Greetings, Consortium forces," Minho said calmly. "I am Admiral Minho Park of the Human Storm Fleet. You thought breaking us would end us. Instead, you forged us into something you could never defeat." Admiral Vextar found his voice. "This is impossible. We scattered your people across the galaxy. You were supposed to die alone in the dark." Minho's smile was cold as space. "We did go into the dark, but we didn't die. We learned. We adapted. We grew stronger. You wanted to remove humanity from the galaxy because we were too unpredictable, too dangerous. You were right to fear us." Around the Consortium fleet, human ships moved in perfect formation. They had stopped firing, but their weapons remained ready. The message was clear. They could destroy the enemy fleet whenever they chose. "We don't want to conquer the galaxy," Minho continued. "We want our rightful place in it. We demand recognition as equals, not as threats to be eliminated. The scattered seeds you threw into the void have grown into a storm that will reshape galactic civilization." Captain Jiwon Kim's voice joined the transmission from her destroyer. "We are not the same humans you knew 50 years ago. We are something new, something stronger." Commander Yuna Choi added her voice from the ice ship. "We survived your worst. Now you'll learn what survival taught us. The human fleet began to withdraw, their mission complete. They had proven their point without unnecessary killing. As they disappeared back into the darkness between stars, Admiral Minho Park's final words echoed across the galaxy. We were shattered once, scattered to the void. But we return now not as broken refugees, but as a storm that will reshape the very foundations of galactic civilization. The age of human exile was over. The age of the storm had begun,